Everyone, today I'm going to show you how to use the data you collected with your pods and put it in Excel in order to make some graphs and do data analysis through Microsoft Excel. So at this point your data should already be uploaded. I would highly recommend uploading it into a place that you'll be able to find easily. I chose the desktop because I don't really use anything on my desktop. So once you have your data on the computer, go ahead and open up Microsoft Excel. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Excel, it can do a lot of different things. We're just going to use a blank workbook. So go ahead and select blank workbook and open up one of those. Now, as you can see, it opens up a bunch of totally blank boxes. What we're going to do is we're going to tell Excel to fill these boxes with the pod data. And the way we're going to do that is by going to the top of Excel here, going to the Data tab, and then it's going to give us this ribbon. Now this ribbon is just all of the different things that we can do within the Data tab. What we're looking at is on the left here, there's 4 different ways of importing data, from FileMaker, from HTML, from text, and a database query. So the pod collects data into a text file, and that's the easiest to work with. So we're going to go ahead and select from text. Now this is where it's really important to know where your data is, because Excel is going to ask you. So like I said, my data is on the desktop, and this is it. So it may take you a minute to find where you uploaded it, and that's okay, but it makes it really easy if you put it somewhere that there's not a lot of other files. So once you have your data selected, go ahead and click Get Data, and it's going to open up this text import wizard. Now what this is it's it's Excel just asking you a few questions about how to import the data. This first screen is correct, so you don't have to change anything on step 1 of 3. The only thing you're going to want to confirm is that this file origin box has the type of computer that you're using. So I'm using a Macintosh, so it says Macintosh, but if you're using a Windows computer, it should say Windows. So once that's correct, go ahead and click Next. Now what Excel is asking you is what the delimiters are. Now delimiter just means that when the pod's writing the data, what is separating each data point. So we're using commas, as you can see if you look really closely down here. So we're going to select comma, and then we're going to unselect tab. So in order to get this screen to act correctly, you're going to want to uncheck the tab box and check the comma box. Once that's done, this little screen, you should have a column that just says YPod E3, a column, or I guess this column should have the name of your pod. It could say E3, E4, F3, or F4. This column has the date, and this column has the time, and the rest of these columns are going to be the different types of data. So once your screen looks like this, you can go ahead and select Finish. So now it's asking where we want to put the data. I always put the data into A2 because we're going to have to use the first row in order to title the data. So select A2 and then select OK. Now Excel is going to take a minute to prepare the worksheet, as you can see down here. But once it does, all of your pod's data should show up. Now this pod collected a lot of data. It looks like, scrolling through it, we're at about 1,640 rows. So that is a lot of information. Once it's all there, you're going to want to name each of your rows, or each of your columns, I'm sorry. And so the first one I know is the pod ID. The second one is the date. The third one is the time. Now if you look at the pod operating manual, you'll be able to find the titles for each one of these columns, and then you'll be able to select the ones that you want to use. So now the data is uploaded. It looks good. It's consistent all the way down. This data over here you can ignore. It's GPS data, and it's a little sporadic. But everything from A to Y you'll be looking at. So first you'll notice there's some blank rows. We're going to go ahead and select those, select hide. And then we're also going to select AA through, just to be safe, we'll say AZ. We'll go ahead and hide those as well. So already the data looks a lot easier to look at. So from here, inserting a chart is really easy. So all you have to do is select, I'm going to compare time versus one of these values, and I forget what the values are, but inserting a chart is the same for all of them. So if you're on a PC, you can hold the Control button and select both columns, and if you're on a Mac, you can hold the Command button and select both columns. And once you do, you're going to go up here to the Insert ribbon, and then just to the right you have a bunch of different graphs. These graphs are really useful. They have a lot of different ways of representing your data. So I'm going to do one that you're familiar with, a time series. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one. So here's a time series of the pod data. And you can see there's a spike right at, looks like 8:15. But this makes it really easy to see the warm-up data and to see that your pod is warming up all the way until, well, it looks like about an hour and 15 minutes of warm-up time on that total. So from there you can delete data from here or hide it or select different data to make charts with. It's going to make it a lot easier to create really good plots for your posters. So thanks for watching, and I hope this helps.